is one of the key people in Donald Trump's transition team, running his own side gig, a little pay to play, where he takes payments from those people who are dying to be cabinet members under Donald Trump for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, there's an internal investigation internal to the Trump organization, the Trump transition team, against Boris Epshteyn. I've done a lot of reporting about Boris Epshteyn. He's that shadowy figure who was also indicted in Arizona and almost indicted in the DC election interference case, who serves as Donald Trump's main consigliere and his advisor about all things legal. In fact, many of the people that were picked for Donald Trump's criminal defense team were picked by or recommended by Boris Epshteyn. Those same people have gotten their jobs in the next Trump administration in the Department of Justice, like Todd Blanche and Emil Bove and John Larrow and John Sauer, all of those people, because of Boris Epshteyn. We also knew that Boris Epshteyn, from other reporting, is the reason that Matt Gaetz and not Eileen Cannon or other people were put up to be the Attorney General of the United States. That's all through Boris Epshteyn. But this focus is that there's an internal investigation about whether Boris Epshteyn, who's already reportedly getting $53,000 a month to be a quote-unquote consultant and advisor to Donald Trump and the transition team, whether he's asked directly the people that he's promoting to pay him so that he would promote them. Who's he working for, in other words? And it all came to a head over the person that Donald Trump actually just picked to be the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. The internal investigation is focused on whether Boris Epshteyn made demands on Scott Bessent and to have him pay money to Boris Epshteyn directly in order for Boris to promote him as Treasury Secretary to Donald Trump. Now, there was a lot of infighting about a week ago about who would be the Treasury Secretary, right? And it was between a couple of guys, one of them named Howard Lutnick, who got the Commerce Secretary position instead, and Scott Bessent. They called it a knife fight between the two of them. Suddenly, part of the knife fight was solved. They gave Lutnick a consolation prize. Go do commerce. Go do tariffs. Go over there. On the Treasury Secretary, which is the bigger deal, the bigger job, it's one of the top 4 cabinet positions, Scott Bessent was in the running along with other people. It looks like, according to this reporting, that Boris Epshteyn was asking for $50,000, $100,000 or more for Scott Bessent to pay in order for him to be promoted within the inner circle. That seems like a no-no in Trump world. In fact, Donald Trump has said, nobody's in charge of my endorsements but me. In other words, don't pay anybody else. And the question for this investigation is Boris Epshteyn lining his own pockets, using his position of privilege in order to make money that I assume Donald Trump says, hey, somebody's paying to be a cabinet member for one of my positions. That money should go to me. I mean, that's my own artist rendering of what I think was going on. This is a serious allegation. Now, they're already trying to tamp down on this within Trump world, but it's not working. I've done a series of hot takes and spot reporting about issues arising out of dysfunction and Boris Epshteyn. That Boris Epshteyn had a screaming match last week with Elon Musk where they were at each other's throats and there was a giant explosion. It was explosive, as observers of this said, at Mar-a-Lago in the dining room. And now we've got that there's an internal investigation. Now, Stephen Chung is going to be the communications director in the new White House. He says, oh, nothing to see here. You know, we're doing a review of everybody's consultancy agreements, including Boris's. It's all okay. We all move forward. Are we all going to move forward, Stephen? Are we? Because if this internal investigation, which had to be approved by Donald Trump, being conducted by the lawyers, which I guess is in lieu of the FBI investigation. See, they're supposed to be using the FBI for anybody that wants to be affiliated with the White House, to do background checks, to check ethical conflicts, to see if they're financially compromised. You know the FBI would have picked up on this. They would have talked to people. Did Boris Epshteyn ever offer you money or ever ask you to offer him money in return for something? Yes. What was it? What was the quid pro quo? You see where this was going. So instead, the Trumpers all said, we'll do it ourselves. We'll use our own private investigators. Okay. All right. Well, now you've somehow, not only did you do a private investigation or it's ongoing, but it's already leaked out. Every time I turn the page of something, another Boris Epshteyn story leaks out. Boris Epshteyn and Elon Musk had a fight. Boris Epstein recommended Matt Gaetz. That went down in flames. What else can we do? Boris Epstein's got some ethical conflicts where he's using pay to play. These are the allegations to line his pockets with money. I mean, he's already getting paid $53,000 a month. Isn't that enough? No, not to him. He wants to make millions of dollars in the grift. This is another reason that the presidential transition team hasn't signed and is already illegal, already unethical, already the most corrupt presidency. It hasn't even started yet for number 47. They haven't signed any of the law required, congressional required presidential transition memos because it would bind them to an ethics code, to an ethics disclosure, to develop an ethics plan. You see what happens here? Every time somebody in Trump world says the word ethics, they have to follow it with, I'm burning, it hurts, I'm burning. They don't want to talk about ethics. I don't know what movie I was doing there, but you know. So they don't want to talk about ethics. They don't want to talk about ethical mitigation or how to fix things or their plan to fix it or how they're not going to have conflicts of interest or how they're not going to have financial ethical issues because they are. So since they haven't signed the presidential transition agreements and they haven't taken any money that, $8 or $9 or $10 million they would get from the government to run their transition, they've left everybody vulnerable. And now I got to hear about private investigations that should have been done by the FBI already leaking out against Boris Epstein. If I were Boris Epstein, I would start looking for a new job. He literally replaced Michael Cohen. Do we all know the Michael Cohen story? And if you don't, he's on the Midas Touch Network. Okay. He was the much, much smarter Boris Epstein. And he spent a lot of time in jail. On felony convictions and in his plea, right? And this is the replacement for him. So haven't we learned our lesson? Hasn't Boris learned his lesson? No. And if you get sideways with Donald Trump, you will be the one that is sacrificed. You will be the one that is turned away. I'm wondering if the locks haven't already been changed electronically on Boris Epstein. We'll continue to report on it right here, this shadowy figure. Watch how fast Trump world and Trump turn on Boris. The kids and grandkids are already calling Elon Musk Uncle Elon. Okay. $250 million of personal money being spent to get a guy elected will do that. What's Boris Epstein done? He has no money. He's volunteered for all sorts of crazy things, too. I want to be the special envoy to solve Russia-Ukraine. Why? Because you were born in Russia? That's your qualification? Never practiced law before. Practiced like 2 years of corporate law. Never criminal law. No international diplomacy experience. Well, they runs around Donald Trump and got a couple of lawyers to take the job. That qualifies him to be the special envoy to solve the Russia-Ukraine war. Because the guy is delusional. The guy is delusional. And now the guns have turned towards Boris Epstein. We'll continue to report on it and what comes of this internal investigation by Trump and his team about Boris Epstein and whether he survives as we watch the implosion. It's so beautiful. The implosion of Donald Trump and his transition team. Thought it was smart to avoid signing the presidential transition memos. Thought it was smart not to take public money and take all the shadowy secret money, dark money for your transition. Thought it was smart not to have the FBI do the background check. How's all that going for you right now on the way in? Until that next time when I report on Boris's probably ultimate removal from everything Trump. This is Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.